Welcome to the Get Trauma Informed podcast, dedicated to unraveling the complexities of trauma, its pervasive impact, and the journey towards holistic recovery and realignment. If your radiance has ever felt muted, like I and thousands of others, you're in the right place to reignite your inner light. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast. Well, hello, and welcome to week number 8 of our series, our mini trauma recovery talks focused on the warrior within. We are walking through trauma recovery from our military perspective, right? So last week we dove into the financial or the trauma in finances, right? Financial instability. We unpeeled that onion and we dug into that, right? And we also have not only bring out challenges, but we also have solutions, right? So if you visit us at oasiswellnessctrs.com, and you can grab from the a la carte of services that are available, including some to help us to recover and restore our finances. Alrighty, so on to week number 8 of the warrior within. This week we pause and do something deeply sacred, right? We tell our stories, not to relive the pain, but to reclaim our identity and purpose beyond it, okay? Whether your trauma was in combat, childhood, or a toxic relationship, you've survived, right? Now it's time to shift from surviving to storytelling. And in storytelling, we thrive. Why telling your story matters? Because trauma silences you. It makes you doubt your memories. It teaches you to hide or stay small. But when you tell your story in a safe space, you take the power back. You remind yourself that what happened to you does not define you. However, I rise does, right? I rise, right? So when you hear that, I rise, that defines you, not what happened to you. So, the science of storytelling in recovery, let's talk a little bit about that. Neuroscience tells us that telling your trauma story helps. And this is how, okay? We recognize scattered memories, we reduce shame and anxiety, we re engage with the prefrontal cortex, your reasoning brain. We reconnect fragments of our identity. And so what happens when we face trauma or trauma happens to us, then parts of us fragment. We talked about mind, body, spirit, and soul. And we did a segment on soul fragmentation. And that is a huge piece that we forget sometimes to pull back together. So when we tell our story in our own words, not how others told it for you, but you begin to heal, to recover in powerful ways. So now I'm going to again dive into the life of the trauma informed girl, right? And tell a little bit more about my story there. See, there was a time I couldn't even say the words, I survived domestic violence. I watched my mother get stabbed. I almost died in a car accident, right? I survived divorce. I survived being a single mom. But now I say it with power, not from pity, but from purpose and for purpose. I went from broken brain to CEO of Oasis Wellness Centers, best-selling author, creator, and host of 3 podcasts, and grandma. Yeah, that's what my grandson says. He said, grandma of 10 amazing grandchildren. I am a walking story of recovery, and so are you. Our spiritual reflection for today comes from Revelations 12:11, and it says, they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. Your story has the power to set others free, starting with you. That feels good. How does that feel to you? A reflective prompt for this week: if I could share my story with someone who needed hope, what part would I tell them? If you could share your story with someone who needed hope, what part would you tell them? This week, you're not just a veteran, survivor, or trauma-informed student. You're an author of your own healing recovery narrative. Wow, what an amazing week. What an amazing time to continue our recovery journey. Again, as always, make sure you give yourself grace. Make sure you give yourself the grace to recover. And until next time, stay fearless. Bye for now. It's time to buckle up. No more suffering in silence. Our Power Pack journey to recovery and realignment starts now. Remember, you are collateral damage on someone else's warpath. Trauma is not your fault. Recovery, however, is your responsibility. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast.